Joining us from the NFL owners meeting in New York City is Ian Rapoport. How are you, brother?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. All right, so the commissioner's got a new deal through March of 27, correct?
He does have a new deal. And, it was, I think, not a big surprise. I think Roger Goodell getting a new contract extension was something that everyone has expected for some time. Being now that it's officially done and announced, it's news, but certainly not a surprise. Maybe more interesting to me was,
yes.
Mike Garofalo, my colleague at NFL Network here, was asking Roger Goodell about legacy and is this going to be his final contract, and, not even wanting to go there kind of, and that's what I thought. That's what a lot of people thought. Maybe this is the final contract, and now would be sort of time to discuss what he's brought to the league and legacy, and he wasn't having any of it, which makes you wonder either he doesn't want to celebrate his legacy while he's continuing to go, or maybe this isn't it. And that would be interesting in itself. Certainly has had a very celebrated tenure as the NFL's commissioner, and maybe we're not done anytime soon. We will see.
Well, in terms of that, I guess why indicate to everyone, that he's got a clock left, right? It's just like politics too. You don't want to be a lame duck where suddenly owners are like, well, we'll just, we'll wait you out, for something like that. You know what I mean?
Right. And plus, who knows what's going to happen in 3 years anyway? I remember the last time he did a contract extension.
Yeah.
One of the PR men who worked for the NFL came out and announced that it was his final contract, and it's not. Surprise! So you just never, you never quite know what the future is going to hold.
What else is coming out of this owners meeting? Anything of note, news? What do you got for me on that?
I'd say a couple things. One, as far as league news, what the NFL has done with the coaching interview schedule is push it back past the divisional round, so you can have in-person coaching interviews. So after the divisional round, which would drastically slow the process. And what the league hopes is that it will allow the owners, force the owners to look at, a much more diverse pool of candidates. Now, will that work? We'll see. It also kind of keeps the focus on the field, I think, during the playoffs, which is a good thing. But it does delay the process. And I think for coaches who want to hire assistants, this makes it a lot slower. But again, you hope the process is more fair. You hope there are more diverse minority candidates considered. And, perhaps that will go a long way toward this. The other thing, and it's not really meeting news, but it was something that happened at the meeting, was just got done talking to Jim Irsay, the Colts owner, about Anthony Richardson.
Mm-hmm.
He is going to have season-ending shoulder surgery. Not a surprise. I talked about it on Sunday. But Irsay saying that it was Richardson's choice to have it based on the amount of pain he was in, the prospects, and all of that. Obviously he was disappointed because of where his season was trending. But Irsay saying that he thought the Rookie of the Year race was going to be Stroud or Richardson, and he was really looking forward to that. Now, likely, you are not going to see him until the 2024 season.
So, in terms of that, Ian Rapoport here on the Rich Eisen Show, anything about, the history of Andrew Luck and his shoulder in the mind's eye of Irsay and the rest of the organization there about this decision-making process on how to handle Richardson at all, do you think?
I would be remiss if I said that Andrew Luck didn't play into this because, remember, they were confident in Luck's shoulder, multiple shoulders, and then ankle. And, there was a lot of let's get him back in the field. He's going to be fine. He's going to be fine. They weren't prepared. And it was a big mess. And I think it really did leave scars on this organization. This was different. Think about it. We're 10 days now from when Anthony Richardson hurt his shoulder, and only now making the decision after consulting with, 5 medical opinions, only now saying, yes, he is going to have surgery. I would say that's significant because they wanted to make sure to do their due diligence, take their time, and make sure that they made the right decision. And every time we talk about it with owner Jim Irsay, he brings up Andrew Luck because, I think it's an acknowledgement for this organization that it did not do right by Luck, and they want to make sure to do right by their franchise quarterback this time around.
Ian Rapoport, my colleague from NFL Network, kind enough to step away from the din of the owners' meeting, standing for our radio audience near what it looks like some emergency exit at the New York hotel where everything's taking place. I appreciate your due diligence, Ian. I greatly appreciate it. Let's talk about Kyler Murray right now. Speaking of injured quarterbacks, because in Arizona, Jonathan Gannon called Murray trending in the right direction. Is he coming back, do you think, this year for the 1-win Cardinals, Ian?
This year, yes. I do think he'll be on the field this year. And I think there's a lot of reasons why. He is getting better. He is improving. I do not think he's close to playing in a game, but he is improving. And, I think for this organization, I think there's going to be some people who are like, why would he play? The season's lost. And I'm like, okay, well, there's decisions that need to be made. And if you're the Arizona Cardinals, let's say you have a season that includes 2 wins. Well, you're probably going to have a top 5 pick. Do you take a quarterback? Do you not? What does Kyler Murray look like in your offense? What does he like to work with? Is he your future? It's like almost like the world has decided that Kyler Murray isn't good enough, but he's very good. He really is very good. And so if you're the Cardinals and you're going to say goodbye to a guy as talented as Kyler Murray, you better be sure. You really better be sure, regardless of what draft pick you have. So that to me is like, they got to get him on the field. They got to see what they have. They got to see him in their offense and their schemes, all of that. So I do believe he will play this year. Yes, and I do think his time is coming.
When you said that you don't think it's anytime soon, do you think his practice window will open or anything like that? Or there's no such thing because he's on an injured reserve status? How does this work?
No, so his practice window will open, I would say, probably relatively soon.
Okay.
But then it's going to be a slow process anyway. I mean, remember, he got injured in December. So, it's about 10 months.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a pretty serious injury. So they're going to for sure take their time. So practice window opening probably soon. Actual playing, I do not think will be soon.
And I spent some time opening the show, Ian, about Jalen Ramsey's practice window opening. What a big, a big potential watershed moment in this season to add him to the defense with an offense on tilt like that. Do you think I'm going to be calling his name in Germany? Chiefs and Dolphins? That's week 9. What do you got for me on that? What do you think? Your best guess?
Week 9. So you're talking 2 weeks from now? This is week 7, right?
Yep, I'm talking 3 games from now for the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, I think there's probably a pretty good chance he's playing in that yet. And if he's playing, my guess is you're going to be calling his name. One of the most, impressive, disruptive defenders in the NFL and one of the best players regardless of position. This is a really nice recovery. Kind of heard whispers that he was doing really well. And I think, if you watched, the 4 games for the Dolphins, you'd see him running. You'd be like, what? How's that happen? But, this is kind of where it was trending. I think it's a really good win for him. Him having that surgery, which, I'm not sure everybody would have done, was definitely right by him. Having the repair instead of the trim took him off the field, but going to make him stronger long term. And he's only 28, so this is a guy I know that figures big in the Dolphins' future. And I do think he'll be on the field sooner rather than later.
All right. Before I let you go here, Ian, if you want, I can tap dance for the question long enough. If you want to drop your arm, you've been kind enough to hold the phone very, very well this entire time. Right. I don't know if your blood is still circulating in your. I can't put you on PUP. Basically, we need you too much on the NFL Network. Okay, so trade deadline coming up. Halloween afternoon, 4 Eastern time. Any big names you're hearing at this owners meeting that might be available? What do you got for me on that front right now?
I would say, there's not a ton of big names that are traded at the trade deadline anyway. I mean, it's rare you get like a Von Miller type deal. How willing are the Broncos being willing to part with some of their guys? Some of the receivers I think would be interesting. I know teams are going to call Courtland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy. I know they don't want a fire sale, but what could a deal get it done? Could a team get it done? I think that would be interesting. You have the Vikings who are, I would say struggling. Record's not great. Could someone be available there? Not Jefferson or Cousins, maybe someone else. The Bears, Jalen Johnson, one of the really good corners, talked about, he's not immune to hearing the trade rumors. Obviously, he's heard some trade rumors. It's not going to be anything crazy, but I think you'll get a couple of guys moved, especially if the injuries ramp up the next week or so.
Yeah, and then, of course, teams might, lose in the next couple of weeks. Any shot, do you think, that somebody could go YOLO for, say, Derrick Henry or anything like that? You just want to stir the pot a little bit here for a second, or that's just
Yeah,
a
I mean, I don't know
non-starter?
that there's a lot of. I don't know that there's a lot of people who want to trade for a running back or that contract, and that's part of the problem this time of year is like who actually has money, who has space. You know, I think that's an issue. So I would be surprised if something like that happened. Yes, especially with a trade for really any running back, honestly.
All right, last one for you, Ian, before I let you go on this day. Give me the one aspect of walking around the lobby, talking to people. What are people talking about there when the cameras are not on? What is the conversation at this owners meeting when everybody's chatty Cathy talking to you, Ian? What do you got there?
I think it's a lot of football talk, really. It's a lot of you see the owner. It's not just the owners. You see, team presidents, and it's just a lot of, I would say a lot of game gossip, and that's sort of the problem this time of year is you have some people who are having a great season, happy to talk in the lobby. You have others who are like, oh God, how do I avoid? It's like Robert Kraft was here to not address reporters, which is okay. Like, this definitely does not have to, but didn't. I think that was
well. I mean, because I'm sure he doesn't want the question like, or is Belichick on the hot seat? That would absolutely be the question posed of him. There's no question about that.
So, there's a lot of that, but I think mostly it's just a lot of standing around in lobbies watching people walk by.
Okay. All right. And the competition committee didn't really. I mean, the brotherly shove that wasn't talked about in the lobby or anything like that.
Did not seem to be discussions of the brotherly shove. I'm sure as we get to the March meetings that will warrant some discussion. The fact that other teams have tried to do it and suck at it is interesting itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say not yet on that one.
Ian, thanks for the time, brother. Really appreciate it. I know you're busy, and I know you're standing in an emergency exit. So back at it. Thanks again. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.